Great. So obviously, you achieved your American dream that what MERADES is trying to show forth. So, wanting to ask you, the school system in India versus the U.S., how do you compare the two? You having gone to school in India.
The schooling in India is excellent. I think the clinical training is very good. The systems are different because we are made to pass exams in orals as well as clinical medicine. The professors and the teaching in India is just outstanding. And the proof is the fact that when I came to this country, I was allowed to appear for my internal medicine boards, and without doing a residency, I passed first shot. So that means it just tells me that that the training is very good. And I've never felt that we were inferior to the American graduates that were with me at that time. So because the clinical training has such a focus in India, our human side and the compassion that we show to the patients, and all over America it's known, Indian doctors are the best. So I think that goes a lot to speak about our Indian system of medicine, and we thank our teachers and our forefathers for putting that strong foundation in our system at that time.
I mean, for many years, India has been exporting a skilled labor to U.S., like doctors and scientists, and of course in computer and technology field. But now this new concept of exporting nurse to America, because we have a very shortage in America. How do you feel about that?
A great opportunity. I think in California alone, there is a shortage of about 30 to 50,000 nurses over the next 5 years. What happens is that the nursing industry is just not treating patients. The nurses, after several years, branch out into education or managed care, quality care, compliance, and home nursing, and many other fields which are side branches of medicine, of nursing. So therefore, there's a constant turnover of this nursing profession. And because of the government laws of ratios of nurses to patients, there is a constant need for nurses in this country. And many hospitals face a severe shortage. So much so that even if there are hospital beds available, because of the ratio, the hospital would be considered full because the nurses are not available to serve the patients. So the hospitals are always looking for the nursing students and staff, and most hospitals now give incentives just to hire the nurses from wherever. So the nurses in India, again, are very well trained. I personally have experienced nurses from India who have been very well regarded. I know of a recent story of a nurse that came from the Escorts Heart Institute in New Delhi, and she was in our hospital, and she just could take care of things, right from the first day. She was, as a matter of fact, very well trained, and except for some policy changes that she had to make, she was right into the system, and she was well regarded, and the American people now have a very good impression about Indians because of all these of our education system and of the people that they are. The people of India are the true ambassadors of India to this country. So even though they live here, they make sure that the Indians give a good name and reputation. And besides nursing, even in medicine, many of our hospitals have the chiefs of staff, department chairs, professors. There are so many Indians that I don't think there are many hospitals in this country where the Indians don't have a leading position within the hospital system itself. And we're very proud of that.
Sure. So what are your thoughts on parents sending their kids over to India for med school? Do you feel that they face any barriers when they come back into the U.S.? And if there are barriers, what are those barriers that you feel?
The Indian system is very good. I think if you can manage to get into a good medical school here, or if you're confident of getting into a good medical school in the United States, if you want to live in America, you should first try to go to an American medical school. But if you think that there may be some problems in getting into the field that you want, or even getting into medical school, you obviously have a choice of going to India too. Now, that's not always the case. Some parents want to send their kids to India because they want to teach their kids Indian culture. At the same time, the Indian medical schools take admission right after high school. So many of the American students save 4 years of schooling because they go straight into medical school in India. However, in India, the medical school is for 4.5 to 5.5 years, while America is for 4 years. So eventually, obviously, the number of years that you save will be 2.5 to 3 years. But nevertheless, you do save some time. However, the barrier to get into a good residency program may exist. It's not 100% always true, but it does exist in certain medical schools. But I know of several examples where kids who have been trained into medical schools in foreign countries have had residencies in excellent schools in this country. But I do believe that if you are trained in America and if you're competing in the same slot, an American student would get a preference over a foreign student, wherever you may be.
Yeah, speaking of teaching your kids about Indian culture, do you have children?
I have 2 daughters.
How are you doing with teaching them and keep them connected with our roots back in India?
Well, we have encouraged the Indians to be going to our community centers and to our temples, and we have an Indian way of life in our homes. We have Indian friends, so they are very much attuned to the Indian way of life. And whenever they have a chance, they will also visit India and be with their relatives. So the Indian culture is always being given to them in a great way. I think they have best of both worlds. They have the American system to be with, and they also have the Indian roots, which makes them excel because they can choose the best from both sides.
I believe that if you live in some country, you have to adopt their cultures. So why do our parents always think that our kids are too Americanized and it is a bad thing? Why do they feel like being an Americanized is a little bad? It's bad than being Indian.
Well, the American culture is different, especially for kids because of the dating phenomenon. India, of course, now the dating has come in vogue also. But at least when I used to be there, it was not such a common thing that used to happen. So the entire system, the cultural system is so different of dating, of going out, of being independent. And the language and the customs and the traditions, that's what we want to teach them. It's much easier to get them in India because you are always, it's part of your life. In this country, I think you have to make special effort to get that inculcated into your kids, and that's the difference.
So tell us a little more about your personal life. Tell us about your wife and what she does and her educational background.
Well, my wife is she's from Calcutta. She's a Gujarati lady, just as I am. But she is a homemaker, and she helps me in my house and my kids. And it's important that the kids have the parents and the mother to be there. So she obviously is the most important part of our family. And because of my vast business and some of the other things that I've got, she's always busy taking care of our household things and also the business part of my life. She's also very active socially. We've got a lot of friends and a big community. So she is having a very active life of her own.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, you being a successful cardiologist and a businessman, what do you have to recommend to our viewers out there on achieving the American dream?
I think the most important thing is to be innovative, aggressive. I think the most important thing in life is character, because character is destiny. If you don't have character, I don't think that you can go far in life higher, because eventually people know who you are, and every opportunity has its own two sides, and people are going to forgive you if you have character. They're going to give you a chance to go up in life, and they're going to be patient with you. But if you don't have character, I think it's going to be very difficult to convince people to do business with you. Character is destiny, there is no question about it, and you need to maintain your transparency, your honesty, integrity, truthfulness, and above all, you've got to work hard. You can't just expect things to